Suicide is one of the leading causes of death amongst young people aged 15 to 29, second only to road traffic accidents. And amongst this young population, lesbian, gay, bi and trans, LGBT plus young people are between 2 and 4 times more likely than non-trans heterosexual young people to have experienced suicidal thoughts or attempts. In order to address this, suicide researchers the world over are trying to identify the complex sets of biological, psychological and social factors which come together to make a particular individual view their life as unlivable. Amongst my population of interest, LGBT plus young people, stigma, discrimination and harassment are cited as the key contributory factors to increasing a likelihood of suicidality. It is argued that expectations and experiences of homophobia, biphobia and transphobia, whether in close networks like families, friends or colleagues, or from strangers in the street, increase this likelihood of suicidality and comprise minority stresses which are social, chronic, unique to being LGBT+, and additional to the day-to-day stresses that everybody faces, like how to juggle your workload or pay your bills. The majority of research in this area is statistical, demonstrating the prevalence of suicidality and testing strength of association between risk factors. There is a gap, whilst crucial research, there is a gap between the kind of experiential data that we have, which tells us why young LGBT+ people who experience stigma, discrimination and harassment go on to think about or attempt suicide versus those who do not. This is where my research comes in. I have used conversational interviews with young LGBT+ people aged 16 to 24, all the way from the Scottish borders up to the Scottish Highlands and many stops in between. Together, we discuss the pertinent contributory and protective factors to those young people's suicidality, as well as their ideas for future intervention and prevention work in order to reduce LGBT+ youth suicide here in Scotland. Whilst today is not a suitable time space to share with you detailed findings, I did want to share with you this quote from my participant just to help you to understand this experience a little bit better. This is Yasmin, and she says, for LGBT+ young people specifically, just societally, if you're having a feeling, especially when you're young, that you're not going to be accepted and it's going to be harder for you to sort of move through the world because of your identity, that brings a real feeling of hopelessness. In order to dismantle this context of hopelessness, my participants told me that we needed a radical expansion in societal empathy in order for young LGBT+ people here in Scotland to flourish, grow and ultimately live livable lives. Thank you.